JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture.
Hey Justin, are you trolling?
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with JustinFREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live for the second time today. Earlier we watched Karen Reed get her not guilty verdict in the trial where she was accused of killing her cop boyfriend. We're back again. We're going to find out what that news be doing. Protests in LA breaking out. This time against war with Iran. This coming as, like, within the last hour, reports are Trump has finalized a strike plan. So, Are you ready for war in Iran? Yeah! America, fuck yeah! We've got some amazing footage from the Senate that we're going to watch, where they started their hearings on Biden's mental acuity while he was in office. The Florida Attorney General is being held in contempt. Macron says a regime change in Iran would be an error. Israel killing 22 people in Khan Yunis. Hegseth refuses to say whether he gave orders to shoot protesters. New information regarding the break-in to the Hortman's home that happened, I believe earlier today. Hortman, the woman, the lawmaker in Minnesota who was killed by our Dancing for Jesus guy. Their home has been broken into since that happened. Interest rates staying the same. We're going to hear from Jerome Powell. A couple broke into an art museum, apparently broke a crystal chair. Wildlife photographer says several of his cameras were stolen. All that and a lot freaking more tonight on the Troll Patrol Live. Good evening. Welcome in. I'm not high enough for this shit. I woke up this morning to multiple piles of vomit on the floor. Always a fun day. I think 2 piles are from the same cat. Another pile was from a different cat. Cats. You gotta love them though. They're a lot of fun. Here is your meme of the day. You know the LAPD shit themselves when they saw the number 3 car come around the block. Now, not all of you may be familiar with the lore. There are several stories of the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt. That's who drove the number 3. There are several stories of him being based. Flash knows what I'm talking about. It was one of his maids or homemakers or whatever that explained to him about like how the Confederate flag made black people feel, and he apparently went out and took a razor blade and took the Confederate flag off the back of his truck, the bumper sticker that he had. He was very pro-immigrant, apparently. So a mythos around Dale Earnhardt has popped up in certain online circles. Comrade Dale Earnhardt is a page you could follow on Facebook if you'd like. That is apparently a true story. I may have got some details slightly off, but that is apparently a true story that you can look it up. Dale Earnhardt Confederate flag. So a whole mythos about Dale Earnhardt being a comrade spun up around certain internet circles. I subscribe to it. I like to believe that the Intimidator would be a staunch ally. I feel like, you know, Dale Earnhardt probably was a lot like Hank Hill. Like, he had some backwards beliefs, but once he sees, so yeah, Junior says it's a real story. But like Hank Hill, once he sees those beliefs in action, realizes the error of his ways and changes with the times, is able to accept new information. I like to believe that. Of course, Dale Earnhardt killed tragically 2001, 2002 Daytona 500. I think it was 2001, somewhere around there. Amazingly, that was one of the tracks, like, he always wanted to win the Daytona 500. He did do it before he died. He had won at the track, but never could win the Daytona 500. And then it ended up being Daytona that killed him. He rammed into a wall. It's insane. One of those... Is serendipitous the right word? One of those twists of fate. Isn't it ironic, you know? Kind of like Ultimate Warrior getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, giving a cryptic promo on Raw, and then dying the next day. Do I consent to money? I mean, if I consented to money, my career would have looked a lot different. I've had multiple people tell me that I should be a multimillionaire. When I went back to college, I met with my advisor. She was in the marketing department, and she said, "How much money do you want to make?" And I was like, "How much money do I want to? If I wanted to make money, I wouldn't be going into broadcasting now, would I?" Aha! Literally what I said to her. Redolent Thought, welcome in, my friend. Good to see you. I'm getting ready to say something I've been saying for years already. Socialist Aunt, welcome in. I need to go get a real job. I need to go get a corporate job. Curious or beat you to it. I need to go get a corporate job somewhere. Some 9 to 5, sitting behind a computer, where I don't have to do barely anything and I make a shit ton of money. I can do it. I just have to put the effort in to go find one. Hey, Smokey. Go be marketing director or some shit at some stupid place. Well, I mean, you're right. I ain't gonna get no real job. Well, I mean, like, being in the thick of it, being like in the production booth of a TV station is more up my alley because I enjoy doing that. I can deal with that. But you don't get much, like, that's not the jobs that pay well. I work a job right now where I have to produce things in order to make money, and my ADHD gets in the way of that. Smokesters. The fucking pirate's life for ye. I can live more. I can do the lifting 50 pounds or whatever that would be required for most, production jobs. I should, but now's not the time to get into media either. Fucking, my friend was working for Turner. She got laid off. Bubby, stop it. You know, like Vox isn't a thing anymore. Vice isn't a thing. There's not places to go. What, like TYT is doing a conservative pivot. Like there's not places to work at the moment. I don't know what you want me to tell you, Flash. Like I know you think those are great ideas. I could fucking care less about Ethan Klein. I give less than 0 fucks. The Memdani rap, like that's not bad. Like I'll give you that. I don't think it would do the kind of numbers that you think. Don't leave us curious, sir. You don't want to hear about going to war? We got war to talk about. Like, if I could get Ethan Klein to mention me, that's something, but, like, I also do not fucking care enough.
We have fought and stood
This is live in LA.
against us and the indecency that the American government
We've gone from protesting
forces on veterans.
ICE raids to protesting going to war with Iran.
Members Union during the Vietnam War was essential in tandem with the anti-war opposition in the United States to get the United States military out of the Civil War in Vietnam.
I don't know shit about Ethan. In order to dunk on Ethan, I would have to consume Ethan's content. And there ain't a fucking chance in hell that I'm gonna do that.
To force the U.S. government to give us our bonus from World War I. That they lied to us. They lied to the veterans of World War I. And they stormed them out of the Capitol. But we fought. Veterans fought and resisted. During World War I, black soldiers mutinied and fought against police brutality in Houston, Texas. Being murdered by the Houston police. They fought.
I love the dim.
So we as service.
I think I'm saying it
We
right.
as veterans, we have a history of standing up and fighting back against U.S. regimes.
They are awesome. I'm gonna call them a they because every time I've seen them, they've gone more and more feminine. So I don't know if they've
And so here we
redeem.
25. The Trump administration is using the Marines
I don't know what pronouns they might be using
in their abduction of U.S. citizens in Los Angeles.
because I don't keep up with other content creators.
One more time.
Sorry, Redland thought.
Trump has used the California National Guard to quell us and say, stop
Clinically, good evening.
for immigrant rights. Are we going to keep fighting for immigrant rights? Damn right we're going to keep fighting for immigrant rights. Because we know that immigrants come here for any sort of opportunity. They even enlist in the military.
I mean, here you go, Flash.
Service members right now literally standing in front of you.
If you insist.
Any doubt about what you are doing? If you have any doubt about what the Cal Guard is doing, about the orders that you are given, you have a right and a duty. Unlawful orders. And I want to emphasize, they are not the enemy.
Did I not spell it right?
They
That's it.
No. So one more time. Shame on Israel. So when we look at our service members, please remind them that they have a duty and a right to not follow unlawful orders. There is
How do you like that?
Are becoming conscientious objectors so that they can say no to this war on Iran.
Well, God damn it. Well, why'd you do that to me then?
Fight for immigrants.
Well, where do I message him?
Fight for housing for all Americans.
God, this is too much work, Flash.
Hands off Iran. Hands off Iran.
Once again, we're live in L.A. Lenny, welcome in. Libertad.
Hands off Iran. Hands off Iran.
Shelley, I'm aware that Israel refuses to extradite pedophiles, that there's a lot of pedophiles that have gone to live in Israel. But also, most of the people that say that are Nazis, and it's really weird. Even though it's actually very true. It's very much true. It's weird.
Thank you so much, Tucker. There are many veterans like Tucker who stand up against wars like this, who know that these wars are nothing but a race, and at the end of the day, they benefit the rich. They're not protecting this country.
So yeah, that's the protest in downtown LA currently against the possibility of war in Iran, which apparently Trump has approved a strike. Approved a plan for a strike, but is not given the final decision.
CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now. Aaron, it's good to see you. What's the latest from President Trump on whether the U.S. will join this conflict between Israel and Iran?
Yeah, Meg, I actually want to start by sharing some reporting that we just got from our colleague James Laporta, who said, according to a senior intelligence source and a Defense Department official, that President Trump approved on Tuesday night of attack plans for Iran, but did not make a final decision in case Iran agreed to abandon its nuclear program. Now, we know from President Trump's remarks to reporters earlier this afternoon in the Oval Office that Trump said that he has not made a final decision yet on if U.S. military involvement will increase to help Israel in their war with Iran. We know he had been considering options of striking Iranian nuclear facilities, including the possible target of Fordo, a site that's believed to be the key to Iran's nuclear program. But he has told reporters he has not made a final decision.
His hair's looking thicker. What's up with that? Is that a piece? They just styling it different or something?
Saying that he often makes these decisions kind of at the last second, just in case things changes. So
I didn't think it was a wig.
A glimmer that he wants to resolve this at least through a little bit of diplomacy. Should the U.S.
That looked like it might be a piece.
Is that still a possibility for diplomacy at this point?
Yeah, President Trump was asked.
Sponsored by him.
He's closed the door on a meeting with Iran, and President Trump said no, said that Iran wants to meet and come to the White House, said that, quote, he may do that, but reiterated he feels it is a bit too late, said it was a shame they did not sign the nuclear deal that the U.S. and Iran have been working for in recent months. And we know from an Iranian official that they, quote, remain committed to diplomacy. At the same time, President Trump today was showing many frustrations with Iran not signing that nuclear deal, touted how the U.S. could be the only country with the capabilities to take out Iran's nuclear capabilities, acknowledged that regime change is possible, but did not say outright if he supports it. So certainly lots of frustration with Iran conveyed by the president here at the White House today, but still keeping that door open for talks with them.
All right, Aaron Navarro, the very latest with this tense situation. Thank you.
Tense situation. Let's go to BBC reporting on the situation. Iran saying that they would attack without reluctance should the U.S. follow through with a strike. Doing the stinky? What's going on? Let me tell you, before you put two in the stinky, you want to make sure you wash your ass.
Life is too short to walk this earth or a crusty asshole. Wash your ass.
The idea of shouldn't is weird to me. Who are we to tell anybody else that they shouldn't have a nuclear bomb? That's fucking odd. Because once again, we are the only country to ever use a nuclear bomb. We used it on civilians. We're the only ones that can't be trusted with it, apparently. So it's odd that we feel we've got the moral high ground to tell anyone fucking anything. If Iran was smart, they would have. They haven't been developing a bomb. That's the weirdest fucking thing. They should have developed a bomb years ago when Trump pulled out the first time. They should have went ahead and developed a bomb, and then we wouldn't be fucking with them right now. Israel shouldn't have a goddamn bomb, if you ask me. Fair enough. The U.S. shouldn't have a fucking nuclear bomb because of all the proxy terrorist groups we fund and support. Israel shouldn't have a nuclear bomb because of all the proxy terrorist groups they support. You make an excellent point. I agree with you, my friend. Combo Weasel, welcome in.
News, we can get the perspective of the Iranian authorities because joining us live is Iran's ambassador and permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva.
There we go.
That's Ali Bahraini. Thank you very much indeed for...
What up, Alibaba?
...on BBC News. Can I ask you, first of all, if President Trump...
That's fucking racist, isn't it?
...decide to attack Iran, how will Iran respond?
We believe that the aggression
John Andrew, welcome in.
by Israel against Iran from the beginning has been with the approval of the United States. And the United States is complicit to this crime from the beginning. But we will react in accordance with our assessment. Definitely, if United States is going to involve in the...
Oh, my friend, we did give a nuclear bomb to a terrorist group. We gave it to Israel.
Aggression against Iran, it will receive firm and resolute response. Iran will show no any doubt, no any hesitation, no any reluctance in defending the people, in defending our integrity, in defending our country, and in defending the humanity, because what we are doing is to defend international law, to defend humanity. Our military forces are monitoring the activities of the United States, and there is a red line set for the United States. If the United States cross that line, the response will come.
Well, you talk about a response, but I mean, your military has been devastated by these Israeli attacks. Your air force has been destroyed. Your air defenses have been destroyed. You're running out of missiles. So militarily, how
Thank you, Rocky.
How could you respond to the...
I was gonna demand an apology from the MAGA crowd, but it came to me. I had so many people tell me that he was the anti-war candidate, and I'm like...
United States, which is the supreme military superpower in the world.
It's not true. If you follow the developments nowadays,
it's not true. Straight up, boom.
The day before yesterday, you can realize that Iranian military forces are responding very efficiently. If it is not efficient, please ask Israel to stop the censorship in the land, so that the people can witness and can see what has happened to Israel by the responses given by our military forces. Our military forces have been prepared for this scenario. It is not a new thing because we have lived with the Israeli threat.
Yes, the extremist government of Iran is the direct result of our meddling in their affairs. And everyone keeps saying that this is going to cause some sort of regime change. All the reporting that we have watched has said regime change. And that seems like the opposite to me. That this will galvanize support behind the government, the radical government, which is willing to stand up to the American bullies as they see it. So you're actually going to turn people more extremist against us. It is fucking stupid. But hey, that can be said of our foreign policy for the past always.
Nowadays, today, yesterday, the day before yesterday, you can realize that Iranian military forces are responding very efficiently. If it is not efficient, please ask Israel to stop the censorship in the land, so that the people can witness and can see what has happened to Israel by the responses given by our military forces. Our military forces have been prepared for this scenario. It is not a new thing, because we have lived with the Israeli threats, and our military forces have been prepared for such a situation. Therefore, our military forces have responded and will continue to respond very efficiently and as far as it is needed. And we will come to the point that we make sure that our people are secure, our land is secure, and the aggression is stopped. We will do it.
What about the possibility of negotiating a way out of this? I mean, President Trump has said that Iranian officials have asked to come to the White House for talks. What about that? Would Iran be prepared to talk to the United States? Maybe even
Iran has been prepared to talk for the entire time.
I think it would not be appropriate at the moment to think about anything rather than defending our people and our country. Now the first priority for us is to defend ourselves and to stop aggression and to stop attacks. I think it shouldn't be appropriate at this time to talk about these initiatives. The first thing which our people are demanding our government, our military forces to do is first to stop aggression and to punish Israel. And that is something that we are focused on now.
This is all about Iran trying to build...
What the fuck was that thing that we were looking at?
Are you trying to build a nuclear bomb? Yes or no?
No.
I believe him.
But the International Atomic Energy Agency, you will know this, they said just a few days ago that you were in breach of your non-proliferation obligations.
IAEA reports have not said such a thing. If you follow the statements made by the Director General of IAEA,
I didn't think they said such a thing.
He clearly explained that there is no evidence that Iran is following a military nuclear program or activity. Different reports give evidence and shows that Iran is following only a peaceful program, a nuclear program. And there is no
good evening.
Iran is following a military nuclear program. And I think there is a criteria, there is an organization to verify that, there is a mechanism to explain for everybody that what Iran is doing. Our nuclear facilities, which have unfortunately been attacked by the Israeli regime, are very peaceful. This is a new red line crossed by Israel by attacking our nuclear facilities. I'm asking always myself, is there any new red line that Israel will cross? And unfortunately, the answer has always been yes. Israel has become an exception to the respect of international law. Everybody's requested to respect international law except Israel.
Well, what about when you talk about respecting international law? Iran sponsors Hamas, which attacked Israel on October the 7th. We know that, with deadly consequences. Iran sponsors Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran sponsors the Houthis that's been attacking Israel as well. You have said death to Israel, death to the United States, year after year.
Hamas and Hezbollah are protecting their land. They are fighting for the freedom of their land. Israel is an occupier, and Hamas is fighting to end the occupation. It is their right to fight for that, and it is our responsibility and the responsibility of everybody to support them in order to end the occupation. Israel should end the occupation, and Israeli supporters should make it to end the occupation. And we believe that Israel is a criminal, is the source of insecurity in our region, is an absolute evil in our region, and it should be stopped from committing crimes again and again.
Do you understand, though, why Israel doesn't want you to have the nuclear bomb? When you say time and again, death to Israel, when you sponsor Hamas and its attacks on Israel, and the evidence is that Iran has enriched 400 kilograms of uranium to 60%, and that is not far off the 90% that is needed for a nuclear bomb. So do you understand those concerns?
Wherever and whenever there has been an announcement about a new nuclear activity in Iran, there has been a technical explanation by our authorities. There has been enough arguments to explain that these activities are necessary for economic, technological, and peaceful purposes. Whatever nuclear activity Iran has conducted has been in line with fulfilling the welfare of our people, and the fact is that we cannot rely on others to be provided with our technological necessity. The experience, the recent history has showed us that we shouldn't rely on anybody. The behavior of the aggressors,
he's correct,
of Israel, showed us during the war imposed by Saddam against us that they are complicit to crimes. Their behavior during the COVID-19 showed that they are avoiding providing health equipment and medicine to other countries. We have learned to be independent, to rely on ourselves, and therefore our nuclear activities, peaceful nuclear activities, are in line with our economic development.
You say that you are defending...
He's correct, 100%.
The people of Iran hate your government, don't they? Many, many hundreds of thousands of ordinary Iranians absolutely despise your government.
This has been a rather contentious interview.
Onto the streets 2 years ago.
I think he's handled it well.
Against your government after the arrest and the death of Mahsa Amini for not covering her head properly with a headscarf.
If you follow the developments in our country, you can observe the solidarity shown by our people nowadays. Even those who do not like the policies of our government, Iranians, they are approaching to us and telling us...
Globus, welcome in. Welcome, Raiders. Good evening. This is the Iranian ambassador to the UN that we're watching. It was a fascinating interview. He has been giving it back to the BBC host. We'll come back to that here in 1 second. Welcome everybody. Big Ben. Danny Boy the Great, welcome in. If you're not following, follow the channel. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Easter. Bark Eater, welcome in. The Iranian ambassador to the UN, giving it back to BBC host. But if you're not aware of who I am, this song will explain everything to you. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the cult.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in Discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one it and hit one back. One more click before we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but he takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.
All right, y'all heard the lady. Light one up, tip one back. Thank you to the media winch from Echoplex Media for that banger of a song. Danny boy, I did indeed used to go by Justin B. Fucking. I did indeed give my life to Jesus. All right, we're going back to, this is the Iranian ambassador to the UN. This is the end of the interview. I'm sorry, this has been fascinating, but the BBC anchor has been rather hostile to their own guest. I'll show you him asking the previous question, but the Iranian ambassador to the UN absolutely said Israel is the cause of the destability in the region, that their nuclear program corresponds to their economic development, that they have every right to do the things they've been doing, that they are not the aggressor. So that's what the interview has been like. So go ahead and give you a little taste what the BBC interview, what the interviewer was like in his questioning.
Say that you are defending the people of Iran. The people of Iran hate your government, don't they? Many hundreds of thousands of ordinary Iranians absolutely despise your government.
See what I mean?
Your government, but they have been out onto the streets. 2 years ago, we saw mass protests against your government after the arrest and the death of Mahsa Amini for not covering her head properly with a headscarf.
If you follow the developments in our country, you can observe the solidarity shown by our people nowadays. Even those who do not like the policies of our government, Iranians, they are approaching to us and telling us that we are ready to support the government, we are ready to do everything to secure our country, to defend our country.
If all that is true, if all that's true...
The solidarity and unity shown by our people at this moment is unprecedented and is very strong.
If all that is true, why don't you let journalists independent journalists like the BBC, like other news organisations, come to Iran to see that for themselves?
Iran is an open society. You talked about journalists. Let me refer to the attack which was made by Israel against our national broadcasting headquarters the day before yesterday. They destroyed.
I played that last night.
They killed 3 Iranian journalists, and that is a big violation of the freedom of expression committed by Israel and supported by you.
Ali Bahraini, we're out of time, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. That is a...
If you did not see what he was talking about, this was the strike on Iranian television.
And that there was a moment an Israeli airstrike hit the Iranian state TV.
The ambassador gave
the news anchor
it right back to the BBC. And this woman, incredibly brave, apparently heard multiple blasts and still continued to bring everybody the news. They found out what that was news be doing on Iranian TV. That was the final blast when she left. Because clearly she was in danger.
That there was a moment an Israeli...
Now that's hard-hitting news.
The Iranian state TV as they were live on air. The news...
Yes, you brought up... somebody in the chat brought up protests in this country over the weekend against the government. Femvox, welcome in. Hell, there's protests going on right now. This is live in L.A.
Physically and mentally unwell people taking shoddy buses that only get here every 30 minutes to try to get some health care after serving in wars that have done nothing but destroy working class people all across the world.
The speaker talking about how all we want is health care. They've got the money for war. So the protesters now adopting an anti-war stance.
Right, as the LAPD is going on a rampage and brutalizing peaceful protesters all across the city for the last week, as ICE is snatching up people from their families.
So that is live in LA currently. If you are one of the people just joining us, Trump has approved plans for a strike, but has not given the final go-ahead. Apparently, this is something the Wall Street Journal pointing out. Iran has more missiles than Israel has interceptors. So this is a crucial piece of the puzzle here, as the Iron Dome is what protects Israel. Sponsored by Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or another one of our many defense contractors. Him having that is the reason we don't have health care, by the way. To actually have insurance, you're lucky you get fucking 80-20. And what that means is that the insurance covers 80% and you have to pay 20%. Most people are lucky to have that. Most plans aren't even that fucking good. It's absurd. Fuck. French President Emmanuel Macron attempting to talk Trump out of whatever fuck plans he has, saying that a regime change in Iran, a war with Iran, would be a mistake.
Nous ne voulons pas un Iran qui se dote de l'arme nucléaire.
We do not want Iran to get nuclear weapons or have ballistic capabilities. I believe that the biggest error today is to seek a regime change in Iran through military means, because that would lead to chaos. Therefore, our responsibility is to resume discussions as quickly as possible to restore a framework for addressing the nuclear and ballistic issues. This is what France has consistently done for the past 10 years.
C'est constamment ce que la France fait depuis 10 ans.
Does anyone think that what was done in Iraq in 2003 was a good idea? Does anyone think that what was done in Libya the next decade was a good idea? No. I'm also thinking of our friends in the region, in Iraq, Lebanon, and elsewhere.
I miss Gaddafi.
Help them reduce everything that, indeed, threatens their security, but they need anything but chaos.
I am sad that there is no Gaddafi for me to be able to talk about, because that man was wild. Very entertaining. Israel out here being Israel still again today. Content warning. Listen to the behind the bastards on Gaddafi. I mean, was he brutal? Yeah. Was he probably a really bad guy? Yeah. Was he entertaining? Fuck yeah. And there might be people in the world that say that about Trump, and we're having to live through it. Israel over here being Israel, killing 22 people inside of Khan Yunis, which is a refugee camp. It would have been fun to watch Gaddafi fight with Trump. Like, we were deprived of that. Thanks, Obama. I think they were friends at one point in time, weren't they? They seem like the kind of people that'd be friends. The Attorney General of Florida has been held in contempt.
Glenna, thanks a lot. And more breaking news now. Florida State Attorney General James Uthmeyer has been found in contempt of court, and Janice is following this one from our newsroom. Janice.
Well, Calvin, a federal judge today found Florida's top cop, Attorney General James Uthmeyer, in contempt of court. All of this having to do with one of the new state immigration rules Governor DeSantis signed into law in February, which is being challenged by the ACLU. Miami federal judge Kathleen Williams temporarily blocked enforcement of it while the case proceeds through the courts. We reported this back in April. Uthmeyer first instructed Florida law enforcement agencies via memo not to obey Williams's order. Days later, he reworded the memo saying he cannot prevent them from making those arrests. Today, Judge Williams issued a decision saying Uthmeyer deliberately gave law enforcement permission to ignore her court order, and she held him in civil contempt. As for a penalty, there won't be any jail time or fine yet. Instead, Williams ruled the Attorney General's office needs to make sure no one is under arrest under the law that's on hold. Uthmeyer must file reports every 2 weeks, and the first one is due July 1st. Uthmeyer responded on social media, writing, quote, "If being held in contempt is that it costs to defend the rule of law and stand firmly behind President Trump's agenda on illegal immigration, be it." Judge Williams ruled that Attorney General Uthmeyer can seek to modify or terminate the reporting requirements in 6 months. Back to you.
Wow. Well, that's a wild story now, isn't it? Florida Representative Byron Donalds got into it with Kathy Hochul earlier today. Hochul apparently firing back at Donalds over immigration.
Mr. Donalds from Florida.
Thank you, Chairman. To piggyback off my colleague, Governor Pritzker, how much does the state of Illinois spend on illegal immigration every year?
Again, illegal immigration, that's a federal responsibility. They could tell how much is wasted as a result of their failures.
Governor, don't you keep track of how many people are on your Medicaid rolls, how many people who are illegal immigrants in the state of Illinois who are getting actually benefits in your state?
They don't get benefits.
Keep track of that.
They don't get Medicaid in Illinois or any state as far as I know.
Governor Pritzker, you do not keep track of any public service dollars in the state of Illinois that goes to illegal immigrants or goes to people in your state who are not legal residents of the United States and of the state of Illinois. You don't keep track of that.
We absolutely keep track of our budget. We're very closely, and in fact, it's been balanced for 7 years in a row, unlike the Republican before me. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I noticed that in the state of Illinois, you guys don't really keep
Pritzker's good.
Because I asked your mayor in Chicago similar question about a month ago, and he didn't have an answer. It was quite interesting. I think this might be an Illinois problem. Governor Hochul,
maybe you're just stupid.
You are spending about roughly $4 billion on illegal immigration, and at the same time, you are actually asking the federal government for $4 billion to finish Penn Station. Don't you think it would be better to stop funding illegal immigrants in your state and actually use those resources to finish Penn Station as opposed to coming to the federal government for the money?
Source was OAN or something.
Penn Station is owned by Amtrak, not by the state, so it's an appropriate use of their dollars, and Donald Trump has agreed to spend upwards of $7 billion. I appreciated that very much. What we spend on immigrants, the immigrants who are here hardworking to live a life and working on our farms and taking care of our parents in nursing homes and taking care of our children, they have been coming here for 400 years. And we don't keep track of individuals based on their status. We make sure that people have services so we don't end up with an unexpected.
So essentially what you're telling me is that you keep no track of money that is going to people who are not legal in the United States, resources that are taken away from New Yorkers, resources that are taken away from Illinoisans. You guys do not keep track of any of this.
You know what's really challenging is that many people came here with legal status. I mean, temporary protective status, 300,000.
Do you
all of a sudden they wake up one day and it's gone.
Do you go along with the strategy from the Biden administration, which massively expanded immigration protocols that overwhelmed your city and overwhelmed your state? Do you agree with that?
We call for secure borders. We call for this body to
I never
do its
remember
job.
you calling for secure borders at all, Governor Hochul.
We certainly have.
That
We
doesn't
certainly
sound
have.
like him to my memory.
Many conversations I had with the White House. And we asked for federal resources. I mean, you're putting a federal problem on our laps, and you know what? It gets old after a while. I wish you would just do your job.
If your
here
party
and
actually would
pass
do the job of
meaningful
securing the nation the way President Trump has now had to do twice, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Wouldn't you agree? Do you agree or disagree that securing the nation's borders is the job of the President of the United States? President Trump has done that job twice now.
Well,
and previous Democrat presidents have not done that job. Wouldn't you agree with that?
this has been a problem that's been in place since I was a young staffer here on Capitol Hill. We worked on immigration, and Ronald Reagan signed amnesty for 3 million people.
You know, it's interesting you bring up Reagan's amnesty in '86. You know, part of that deal was to actually build border wall and secure it. But the Democrat Party refuses to build border wall. You oppose it every single time. Is that your position? Do you now support border walls?
There
Governor
has
Hochul?
been many times.
She's in New York.
Legislation is presented to this body, and people just walk away from it. They refuse to do the hard work of governing like governors like us have to do every single day. When I leave here, I'm going to go home and govern a state. I'm not going to tweet about this experience because I have too much work to do taking care of New Yorkers. And
You're really doing a good job, Governor Hochul, because a lot of New Yorkers are actually coming into my state, in Florida, many of them. They come all the time because they actually want to come to a state that is well run, that protects citizens, does not allow illegal aliens to victimize citizens like they are victimized in the state of New York, like they are victimized in the state of Illinois, like they are victimized in the state of Minnesota. They choose states like Florida and Texas to find safer places to live and raise their families. Hold on, Governor Hochul. We've had enough
crime
time.
rates are much
Governor
lower
Walz,
than
you've been
yours.
sitting over
Much.
there. I got a question for you.
I love to talk. Thank you, Congressman.
Fair enough. You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo.
Yeah.
Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
No.
But I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
Nobody
You
said
can
an
do your
inconvenience.
job and
He have a
practice
responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the
Through due
president is
process.
going through that process right now.
We are
And
not
let's
just-
be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
Chair now recognizes Ms. Stansberry.
No, Representative Byron Donalds, I disagree with you and present to you Exhibit A, B, and C. Among the many exhibits that we have watched here on this show, ICE being compared to the Gestapo is absolutely an apt analogy.
First, KTLA Sarah Welch, live in Pico Rivera, and a violent confrontation with Border Patrol agents was caught on video. Sarah.
Sandra, Micah, good evening. And you can see there are hundreds and hundreds of protesters here in front of City Hall. They are marching now back to that parking lot where that altercation took place this morning. Now, the man who was detained, Adrian Indu Martinez, his family says he was trying to stand up for another man who was being questioned by Border Patrol when he was taken into custody. This video captures a scuffle with federal agents at this retail parking lot along Washington Boulevard in Pico Rivera. The family of this man told KTLA he was detained after he intervened after allegedly assaulting an ICE agent who was reportedly speaking with another man in the lot.
Something though about him, they tried to take the janitor or something. That's what I heard. But I heard that
Looked like Gestapo to me.
They tried taking.
His friend, who didn't want to be identified, says he's a U.S. citizen.
He's a legal citizen. I went to school with him. He said, "You're younger than me."
No name badges?
Protesters stood outside Pico Rivera,
Covering their faces.
local officials to do more to help the immigrant community.
We are actually very concerned about what's happened here in the city today. We have been for the past few weeks putting information out on our social media platforms. In addition to that, pushing out other information from the county, from our state and our federal legislators on how
we don't even know if they're real law enforcement.
you can get access to resources and help in case they need it.
The Trump administration says its lawful immigration detainments will continue throughout Greater LA and that agents are targeting criminals.
That's not true. They're getting everybody. They're singly targeting people that are at car washes, that are working, that are selling flowers, that are selling ice creams, etc. It's not just criminals.
This man is asking people not to live in fear.
Because if they're going for a sweep, a group of, they wouldn't just stop at that individual, and they would have gathered more, and you would have heard. There's only one video getting replayed and replayed and replayed.
But people throughout Pico Rivera report seeing ICE agents at several locations, and the family of the man detained this morning is still trying to figure out where he is.
It was just heartbreaking taking people. Sometimes people, they're legal citizens and they're just sad.
That's the fucking Gestapo.
And back here live tonight, you can
I want an apology from you, Representative Byron Daniels.
And
I'm sorry, Byron Donalds.
family of the man who was detained, who
Fuck it, Byron Daniels.
altercation.
You don't deserve me calling you by your correct name.
As to his whereabouts tonight, and we have reached out to Homeland
I
Security.
got tongue-tied because of the wrestler.
Exactly what happened this morning. I'll send it back to you.
Brian Danielson over here. Byron Donalds, I demand an apology. But maybe that didn't convince you. Oh, that's just one instance. They're not the Gestapo. Justin doesn't have another video that he can pull out showing extreme tactics at a car wash, as was just mentioned.
A Downey car wash owner is speaking out after ICE agents raided her business.
Surveillance video shows as agents arrived and chased an employee.
Eyewitness News reporter Leo Starworth live in Downey with the details. Leo.
Yeah, the owner of this car wash over my shoulder here, she's frustrated, she's stressed out. She says ICE agents have been here more than once, rounding up several of her people. She feels like they're targeting her business, so much so that she decided to just shut it down. Here's more. Surveillance cameras at Galaxy Auto Detail Car Wash in Downey capturing an unfolding ICE raid yesterday. A car wash employee is looking out when he notices a suspicious SUV pull up. The worker walks away as two ICE agents get out of the vehicle and head towards the car wash. Seconds later, the employee sprints past the camera as agents chase him. The agents eventually catching the worker, another car wash employee taken into custody as well. The owner of the car wash forced to shut her business down after several ICE raids. Her employees terrified to come to work.
Estoy enojadísima, frustrada.
I am frustrated because these guys that they picked up are good gentlemen. They don't have so much as a ticket, and their families are suffering.
The car wash owner shielding her identity, claiming ICE agents threatened her.
Me amenazaron ayer.
They came and threatened me and said if I keep talking about ICE, that they're going to detain me.
The business owner saying her heart is broken.
La verdad, tengo miedo.
Can't sleep. I'm frustrated. I keep looking at their faces when they were taking them away, and the guys telling me, asking me to help them. This is not right, man. She's a hardworking woman and trying to make a living, chasing the American dream, and our own federal government has just destroyed that for her.
After a decade of being in business, the car wash owner fears this might be the end.
Estoy perdiendo mucho dinero.
I can't find people to work because everyone, even if they have a valid work permit, are afraid. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to survive. I'm going to ask the council to perhaps allocate some funds to help those businesses that have been impacted by these federal operations. Trucha.
That looks like Gestapo to me. Does that look like Gestapo to you guys?
We're good at protecting. We're going to survive. We're going to come out strong.
And the mayor of this city is encouraging residents, which is about 75% Hispanic, to move about with caution. Live in Downey, Leo Starworth, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Representative Byron Donalds, I want an apology. I just showed you two examples of ICE absolutely behaving like the Gestapo. That's within the last week. That's within the last 5 days. You want to bet me I've got a third one over here that I can play? I don't think you want to take that bet. Representative Donalds, here's ICE behaving like the Gestapo.
The Trump administration initially said that the ICE raids were only targeting dangerous criminals. That has not been the case. We are now hearing of a man taken into custody whose family says is a U.S. citizen born right here in Southern California. They talked to our Leo Starworth, who is live with their story. Leo.
Yeah,
Good to see you again, Leo.
That man down and arresting him just outside of his business, which is right here. It's a tow yard that's been around for more than a decade here in Montebello. They took him down. Residents poured out, pleading with ICE to let him go. They obviously did not do that. They arrested him and took him away. His family wants to know where he is. Here's more.
Gestapo.
No one in this life should be going through stuff like this, and it breaks my heart.
This man sprinting to his close friend's nearby tow yard business yesterday after 3 p.m. in Montebello, where ICE agents, as seen in this surveillance video obtained by Eyewitness News, had his friend, Javier Ramirez, in handcuffs sitting on the ground with a bloody face. Agents also arresting an employee of the business.
He has diabetes. They screened, I have my passport, I have my ID, I'm a U.S. citizen. They did not care.
This man says he argued with the agents, pleading with them to free Ramirez, but they refused and even threatened to arrest him if he didn't back off.
Frustration, the stress, the pain, the suffering our people any person is going through right now through this administration.
Family members of Ramirez horrified not knowing where agents took their loved one without allowing him to take his insulin medication with him.
We've been trying to locate him. I don't know how he is, if he's even alive at all.
A U.S. citizen.
Says he and his brother have been operating a tow yard in Montebello for more than a decade. He says when ICE agents raided their business yesterday, his brother screamed this.
ICE, immigration, and they seemed like they were offended over that. As you can see in the video, they target him right away. They dropped him on the floor. There was two guys. You know, he has a right to not get arrested because he's an American citizen.
This man says seeing agents slam Ramirez to the ground made him think of the federal agents who took down and handcuffed U.S. Senator Alex Padilla after he interrupted
Gestapo
yesterday to ask questions of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem.
Imagine if they're taking down U.S. senators, Congress people that are specially elected for the state of California. If they're taking them down, who are they not willing to take down?
Gestapo.
Attorney's office claimed
Representative Donalds, I want an apology.
And was arrested and is expected to be charged with assaulting a federal officer. Now, they also said that Ramirez was not arrested in connection with his immigration status. They wanted to make that clear. Live in Montebello, Leo Starwood, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Back to you.
All right, Leo, thank you.
You all saw it. He didn't assault a federal agent. Absolute bullshit. And that's why people were protesting in L.A. People still protesting in L.A. currently. There's a protest against war with Iran. Probably the Iranian community showing up. I think like L.A. has a large community of expatriates from Iran.
That's not something to be proud of. There's a moral force that is here. We may start with hundreds.
Senator CIA was left stunned when she asked Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth whether or not he gave an order to shoot protesters during deployments in L.A.
Slotkin.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military.
She said taint.
And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles, and against the wishes of the governor.
Surprise, surprise.
It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed Guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people,
officers.
throw them in the jail, 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that
Lady B, welcome in. Thank you for the resub.
military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the
Let's
order?
light one
That's all I
up.
want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement, they can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters?
All day long.
It's a yes or no thing.
This is Pete Hegseth.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given
Secretary of
very
Defense.
clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us.
It's all
Be a
been
man. List it out.
It's all-
Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is
Senator CIA from Michigan.
I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these.
Slotkin, not trying to be a snotkin. I'm sorry.
It's a yes or no
an-
thing. Authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us.
It's all
Be a
been
man. List it out.
It's all-
Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are
Okay,
there
so
to.
say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please. Yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement.
Do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job,
Okay.
deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous
So
administration.
they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As
Is
we've
that right?
stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they can temporarily detain and
Have
hand
you-
over to ICE. But
have
there's no
you given-
arresting going
have
on.
you-
And you know this better
Have
than
you
you're trying to play
authorized the
political
US
games.
military
There's
to
no
use
arresting
cyber
of U.S.
tools
personnel.
of the U.S. military against members of the protest? Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues
What is
across
that
the
based
aisle.
on? What evidence would you
It
have
is
that an
based
order
on
like that
Donald
has ever
Trump
been given?
giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense.
Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have one fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the culture.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in discords, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate. When shit pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be a man?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Light one it and tip one back. One more clip before we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Light one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but he takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.
We live in turbulent times.
The media is full of deception, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Now, more than ever, it is important to ensure you're getting information from a source that's freaking reliable.
I'm Justin Mullins, and this is the Freakin' News.
Get a breaking or interesting story with a humorous twist in about a minute weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and more. We live in turbulent times. The media is full of deception, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Now, more than ever, it is important to ensure you're getting information from a source that's freaking reliable.
I'm Justin Mullins, and this is the Freakin' News.
Get a breaking or interesting story with a humorous twist in about a minute weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and more.
Hi, I'm JustinFREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out.
I've had it up to here with this fucking cat. Oh my god. I love him so much. But sometimes he is such a pain in the ass. I'm not grabbing Smokey. I smacked him on the ass and he's hiding somewhere. Cause he spilt my tea everywhere. He knocked my weed over. He's been extra. I ain't getting Smokey. He's in the window. You get Socrates, who was over here being a good boy, weren't you, Bobby? Say hey to everybody. Say hey, Bobby. Hey. Hey, it's your Shoxy boy. Oh, it wouldn't be such a thing if, like, when I want him to be on me, it's like he'll have nothing to do with me. But when I'm doing work, holy fuck, that cat wants to be right fucking here. That's the annoying thing. I love him. Love that cat so much. I fucking spoil the shit out of him. And then last night, like, he ass juiced on me. I had to wipe his ass on the stream. Like, it was storming, so he was scared. That's why he had the ass juicing going on. And then when it's storming, he wants me to hold him. So, like, he's extra. He's a cat that's extra. Like, he's a 10-year-old cat. Like, he knows what thunderstorms are, I would assume. Still fucking scared of them. Other cats don't care. Socks will lay in the window and watch the lightning. Thinks it's cool. Smokey fucking freaks out. And I'm very upset because I was proud. I was proud of my Snotkin joke. I was going to clip it for YouTube. Smokey fucked up my flow. Was he on? It would be great if he would, like, lay down and sleep with me, but no, he's not gonna nap with me that often. I'm sorry, Bobby. I feel bad now. He's still in the window. Like, cats know. He knew I was pissed. And I guess the thing that gets me about Smokey is, like, somebody else could take him and he wouldn't miss me, it seems. Like, he'd just be like, oh, here's my new place now. Doop, derp, derp. Wouldn't even care. And he would act just like he does to me. Like, all up in my business, trying to, like, get some love and shit. Act like that to anybody. He's a fucking whore. Because he's done it. I've seen him do it. The first day he was with me. They brought him in and he was just like, oh, this is my home now. Hi. I already love you. None of mine were in a they're all rescues, but none of them were in a shelter. Smokey and Socks would have gone to a shelter. They were like neighborhood strays that, like, one family was kind of taking care of, but they had a kid and they couldn't take care of the cats anymore. And, like, everybody in the neighborhood really liked the cats, so they wanted to find them a good home. And that's how I ended up with Smokey and Socks. I've never had a cat with FIV. Apparently it's completely manageable. It's not a big deal. Like, I've never had one that's been FIV, but, like, apparently it's rather common, especially among cats that have been outside. You need a special diet? All right, I was really enjoying the clip we were watching of Elise Slotkin. I feel like I want to try to redo it for YouTube. But on the other hand, like the moment is probably gone. So if I make the same Snotkin joke. See if I can set this up, because I get my groove. And see, the protest is ended in LA now, so. This is the shot live in LA. Where the protests have turned from anti-ICE to anti-war protests.
But earlier today, they marched on the White House. They marched to say no war on Iran, and they made sure that Donald Trump...
Money for people's needs, not war with Iran.
So the power's with the people. We're going to stay here.
This comes among the deployment of troops to LA. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth testifying in front of the Armed Services Committee earlier today. Senator CIA giving it to the Defense Secretary.
Senator Slotkin.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I said in your hearing, when you had your confirmation hearing, that my biggest concern with you at the helm was the potential use of the military in ways that contradict the Constitution or that taint what I hope we all want, which is an apolitical military. And when I asked you about whether you would accept an order that was actually given to your predecessor, Secretary Esper, Trump's SecDef, to deploy active duty troops against unarmed protesters and to, in Secretary Esper's words, shoot at them, shoot at their legs. You said this was all theoretical. Here we are, a few months later, you've deployed 4,700 troops to Los Angeles and against the wishes of the governor. And my colleague across the aisle was right. It is the first time since 1965 that we have deployed guard troops without the permission of the governor. In all the instances he laid out, the president had sent in the military to protect protesters, not against the protesters. So you may dismiss it, but I feel like this is a fundamental issue of American democracy. If you love your country and you want an apolitical military, then it should be the last resort, not the first resort in our country to use them. So to get to the non-theoretical, have you authorized the uniformed military to detain or arrest protesters in Los Angeles?
Senator, I would just start by saying you're not a protester if you're throwing concrete
100%.
at law
Arrest those
enforcement
people,
officers.
throw them in the jail, 100%. But what you're doing is something different. Everyone knows this is a political decision, right? So we don't trust that you're using the best interests of the military, certainly, and of democracy on top of that. So have you given the order? That's all I want to know. It's not theoretical. For the U.S. military, not law enforcement. They can arrest all day long. That's their job. Do they have the ability, the uniformed military, to arrest and detain protesters currently today? It's a yes or no thing, authority.
It's sort of amusing the extent to which the speculation is out there. These troops are given very clear orders.
Then what is the order? Then list it out for us. Be a man, list it out. Did you authorize them to detain or arrest? That is a fundamental issue of democracy. I'm not trying to be a snot here. I'm just trying to get the actual, did you authorize them to do that?
All of these orders and what they're sent there to do are public. They are there
so
to...
say it. So say it. Yes or no?
I'd like to.
Please, yes or no?
As I've said time and time again through interruption, they're there to protect law enforcement,
do they have
ICE
the ability
officers
to arrest?
who are trying to do their job, deporting illegals who were allowed in by the previous administration.
So they cannot arrest and detain citizens of the United States, the uniformed military.
As we've stated, if necessary, in their own self-defense, they could temporarily detain and hand over to ICE. But there's no arresting going on. And you know this better than you're trying to play political games. There's no arresting of U.S. personnel.
Of the U.S. military against members of the protest. Have you authorized U.S. military cyber tools to investigate people participating in these protests? Yes or no?
Certainly in no way that I'd be aware of.
Okay, that's good. I love that answer. That's great. Have you given the order to be able to shoot at unarmed protesters in any way? I'm just asking the question. Don't laugh. Like the whole country. And by the way, my colleagues across the aisle.
What is that based on? What evidence would you have that an order like that has ever been given?
Giving that order to your predecessor, to a Republican Secretary of Defense, who I give a lot of credit to because he didn't accept the order. He had more guts and balls than you because he said, I'm not going to send in the uniformed military to do something that I know in my gut isn't right. He was asked to shoot at their legs. He wrote that in his book. That's not hearsay. So your poo-pooing of this, it just shows you don't understand who we are as a country, who we are. And all of my colleagues across the aisle, especially the ones that served, should want an apolitical military and not want citizens to be scared of their own military. I love the military. I served alongside my whole life, so I'm worried about you.
I love the military.
Have you given the order? Have you given the order that they can use lethal force against honor? I want the answer to be no. Please tell me it's no. Have you given the order?
Senator, I'd be careful what you read in books and believing it, except for the Bible.
What?
So your former predecessor, I guess that's not enough for you. Okay, on Iran. I don't think there's a debate. There's like a cat fight going on in your own party about whether to go after Iran. Have you commissioned any day after planning? So any force protection, any use of ground troops in Iran, any cost assessments? Because I don't think we doubt what we can do as a country in the attack. It's the day after with Iraq and Afghanistan that so many of us have learned to be so deeply concerned about. Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
Okay.
Plans for everything.
And I would also reiterate how we began, that there will be a classified portion of this 15 minutes after we adjourn.
Mr. Wickerman over there. Texas got grilled by Slotkin. Also got grilled by Virginia Senator and former vice presidential candidate Tim Kaine. This is also at the Armed Services Committee hearing earlier today.
Earlier this month, you announced a plan to change the name of 3 Virginia military bases to restore the names of Confederate-era generals on those bases. You researched...
To catch everybody up, you know, they renamed a bunch of bases a few years back. What was it? Probably before Obama left office, when there was the whole Confederate monument debate. We renamed a bunch of bases. Trump has now renamed the bases supposedly to different soldiers who had the same name as the Confederate bases. What an insane troll.
To find brave American soldiers with the same last names, Lee, Hill, and Pickett, who had not fought for the Confederacy and declared that those Confederate adjacent names would be restored. The problem is that you had to strip away the names of 4 amazing people that the Pentagon and local communities had chosen to honor at the Virginia bases. Van Barfoot, he was a Mississippi native, Mr. Chair, who came to Fort Pickett in the early 40s to train for war. He fought all over Europe in World War II. He won the Congressional Medal of Honor for his bravery. Leading his platoon in southern Italy, he killed 10 of the enemy, captured 17 more, and escorted 2 wounded Americans 1,700 yards to safety under enemy fire. Stayed in the Army for another 34 years, seeing action in both the Korean and the Vietnam Wars, and being assigned as the Army liaison to the Virginia National Guard at Fort Pickett.
Poor dude.
After he retired, he maintained his tie to the fort and to the Virginia National Guard. I was at the naming ceremony, where this base, to which he had devoted much of his life, was named in his honor. His family was there, and they were so proud. Arthur Gregg served in the Army for more than 30 years, first African-American to reach the rank of brigadier general, first to reach the rank of lieutenant general, began as an enlisted, eventually decided to become a commissioned officer, went to Fort Lee for quartermaster training, quickly rose through the ranks as an instructor, even though he was not allowed to go to the officers' club because of the color of his skin. He finished his career in 1979 as the director of all Army logistics operations around the world. He stayed near Fort Lee in retirement, raised his family there, and was a continuous beloved presence until his death last summer at 96. He was actually at the renaming ceremony with his family in 2022 at this place that meant so much to him. Charity Adams. Charity Adams was an Army officer during World War II, the first African-American woman allowed to join the WACs. She was the commanding officer of the 6888th Central Coastal Directory Battalion, a unique battalion composed primarily of
Princess Kimberly, welcome in.
women, making sure that American GIs in Europe got their mail during World War II. Our colleagues Jackie Rosen and Jerry Moran successfully passed a bill in 2022 giving the 688 the Congressional Gold Medal. Charity Adams was the highest-ranking African-American woman in the military at the end of World War II. Her family was at the dedication of Fort Gregg Adams, named in honor of these two trailblazing logistics leaders. They were so proud. Finally, Mary Walker, the only woman ever to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. She graduated from Syracuse Medical School in 1855. She tried to join the Union Army as a surgeon, was turned away because she was a woman. But the need was so great, she eventually got hired at a military hospital in Washington and then was deployed as an Army surgeon with the Army of the Cumberland and the 52nd Ohio Infantry, becoming the first female surgeon in the U.S. Army. She served all over Virginia, including the place where the base is now named after her. She frequently crossed battle lines.
Get to the point, Senator.
Confederate soldiers. She was captured, a prisoner of war in Richmond, until a prisoner relief.
With all due respect.
Johnson gave her the Congressional Medal of Honor after the Civil War. Why did you decide that these four patriots were not worthy enough to have their names on a base?
Well, Senator, as you know, this was never about the names of the bases they were renamed to.
So you don't challenge the worthiness.
Restoring all bases to their original
to the
name.
Confederate
we're not
names.
about erasing
Okay,
history.
you wanted to. You don't care about their military record. You wanted to restore the Confederate names. When you called the Gregg family to tell them that their dad's name was no longer.
Putting a Confederate name on a military base is very odd, because the Confederates fought against our military. They fought against our military. It is very weird to name bases after Confederates.
Longer going to be on the base. What was their reaction?
Senator, the Army notified them of that.
You didn't call any of the families, and I've spoken with the families, and the families were called by the press. That's how they learned about this. They learned about it from the press. You didn't call the Barfoot family, the Gregg family, and you didn't call the Adams family. I told the families I'd ask about this today. In fact, two of General Gregg's granddaughters, Avery and Sydney, are right here in the audience, and I want to ask you this as I close. While you announced that these brave men and women's names would be stripped from the Virginia bases, no orders to that effect have been received by the base commanders. In light of the patriotic service of Van Barfoot, Arthur Gregg, Charity Adams, and Mary Walker, I'd like to ask you simply not to issue the orders changing the names of these Virginia bases. These families, my Commonwealth, are very proud of these heroes, very satisfied with these names, and ask you not to change them. Will you honor these exemplary patriots and keep their worthy names in places on the bases they loved and where they served?
Well, Senator, we very much thank and appreciate them for their service, and we'll find ways to recognize them, but the orders will soon be going to those bases to change the names back to the original name that never should have been changed.
But you have the power to not send those orders. They haven't gone out yet, correct?
Thank you, Senator. Your time is expired.
I still want to know, why would you name a base after an army that fought against our military? It doesn't make any sense. You seem like a traitor. I thought it was about history. Do you not know history? I'm going to hit the content warning here. This could be devastating for our trans homies. The Supreme Court upheld a Tennessee ban on gender-affirming care.
The Supreme Court handed down a decision that will change the LGBTQ community for years to come. The case is U.S. versus Scrimetti, and it is about a Tennessee law which bans gender-affirming care for transgender minors. So this includes things like puberty blockers and hormone therapy.
Today, in a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court upheld the law in Tennessee. This will have wide-reaching implications. Dozens of other states have passed some sort of ban on gender-affirming care.
6 justices, including Chief Justice John Roberts, ruled that a ban like this is legal. Roberts wrote, quote, having concluded that it does not violate the law, we leave questions regarding its policy to the people, their elected representatives, and the Democratic.
Boo.
9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor is joining us now to provide a bit of analysis of this case. Well, let's just start. Can you explain
what up, Whitey?
This, from the beginning, like how did a majority decide that this is indeed legal?
Right. So this was an issue related to this Tennessee law that said that banned this transgender care for youth. And so essentially what they said, and I think this is really important, was this law looked at treating transgender youth who were disassociating with their gender identity or their gender they were born with. Mm-hmm. So they can still use these different treatments for things like early puberty or other things unrelated to the transgender issue. And so
I don't see how it doesn't violate the law because it is specifically targeted at one individual group, which is clearly unconstitutional. Thank you, Supreme Court.
The issue that the court was looking at was, one, was this law based on sex? Was it based on gender? And if so, what level of scrutiny should be applied? Because in our court system, when a law is passed, the Supreme Court will look at what level, rational basis, intermediate scrutiny, or strict scrutiny, depending on the rights that are at stake. So in other words, if it's a right dealing with fundamental rights or race, it's going to have to be a very high burden. But if it's something related to, say, an economic regulation or something, it's a low basis, a rational basis. And so here, that's what the court did. They applied the lower basis and said, hey, this law just has to be rationally related to a legitimate goal. And what Tennessee was concerned about was that this was having detrimental effects on these youths that it couldn't be reversed. And so they said, we do have this rational basis in passing this law because it's making...
You remember Matt Walsh and attacks on, I don't remember if it was Matt Walsh or TikTok that had like a bomb threat called into Vanderbilt Hospital, which is in Nashville, had a gender affirming care program for youth. I think they were one of the leading hospitals in the nation on the subject.
Tennessee is arguing it's making youth not like the gender they were born with. And so the court upheld this law and said, yes, it was lawful.
So I previously read Justice Roberts' opinion from earlier, and that implied that these decisions should be left to the states.
Yeah.
Do you personally agree, and does that weaken the government? Does that weaken the Supreme Court, in your opinion?
Well, it's an interesting question, and I don't know that it weakens it, but it is definitely a different take because the court, a lot of times, I mean, you can look at what's happening right now with the federal government and how you're having this consolidation of power with the executive branch saying, hey, the federal government, we should be able to go in and go into California and send the National Guard and pull all this other power back. So we're currently seeing this struggle between the state and the federal. Now, consistently with the Dobbs decision that overturned Roe, that was also an argument to say, hey, it should go back to the states, and it really did. So now you have a bunch of states outlawing abortion and a bunch of states like Colorado protecting abortion. And that's really what we're talking about here. And Chief Justice Roberts was saying, this should be an issue for the states. But I think that's a little bit inconsistent with some of the other decisions they've made. So you see the courts just justifying, their opinion.
Okay, well, let's talk about the decision.
You see the courts justifying their political positions.
Sonia Sotomayor, she's an Obama appointee,
yes.
And she wrote today in this decision, authorities without second thought, untold harm to transgender children and the parents and families who love them. There's no constitutional justification for that result. She goes on to write that the court contorts logic and precedent to justify the ban. So what are your opinions on what she had to say? Very strong opinion there.
That was a very strong opinion, and importantly, I know there's a certain decorum. Usually with a dissent, you say respectfully, I dissent. Here she said, sadly, I dissent, which was actually, sending a strong message. And I think what she was saying was, look, the court didn't do a meaningful review. You just kicked it down the court and you said, well, there's medical opinions that go either way. This isn't a well-settled issue. So the legislature has a right in passing this law. So, but she did point out, and I think rightfully so, that the court kind of said, no, this isn't based on sex. This is based on this.
I, for one, think we should keep the government out of our healthcare
illnesses, if you will,
issues.
Certain,
they shouldn't be all up in your business, but that's the libertarian in me.
Saying,
what do I know?
Within the very law itself, it talks about sex, and it says that the purpose of this law is defined by reference to the patient's sex, and a determining factor is whether the treatment serves the medical purpose of helping the minor live inconsistent with, quote, the minor's sex. And so she's saying the very law itself references sex. And so to make this distinction and to make this ruling on something other than sex is wrong. And I think that's a strong argument that she makes there.
Interesting. And, Whitney,
Sotomayor with the smackdown.
That the law, the process of it can be a very long, drawn-out process.
Yes.
So would you say that this decision today settles the debate when it comes to care for transgender children, or do you think this actually is going to, one, set a precedent? We know that there's more than a dozen other states that want to follow suit.
Right.
And do you also think that this makes things more complicated now?
Yes and no. So we have a decision from the Supreme Court, and that is the supreme, law of the land. Whatever the Supreme Court says applies to everyone. But they were very limited in this decision, and they said, look, this applies to this Tennessee law only. So, for example, in 2020, the Supreme Court said the federal anti-discrimination laws in employment apply to the LGBTQ community, so it expanded those rights. The court today said, hey, this doesn't impact that. We're only dealing with the Tennessee law here. So in that regard, it's very specific. However, our common law system is based on, fact-based patterns. So every state that tries to pass a law, or there's going to be litigation about it, and the Supreme Court's going to have to address it again because they didn't really address it.
Yeah, they kicked it down the road.
Tennessee law, rational basis test, it's not based on sex, it's lawful, and that's all we're really looking at. So it continues the discussion, it continues the debate. We now have more law in our body of law as it relates to this very new and evolving area, but we're going to see a lot more litigation because of, this is a novel area, and it's a very, and it applies to such a small part of the population. I think it's less than 1% that identify as transgender. So we're going to see a lot more litigation as this unfolds.
We don't have a ton of time left, but I think we have to talk about what this means for Colorado. And I feel like they've been really proactive. They've been, had foresight to see some of this stuff was going to happen when you look at abortion and things like that. Any changes so far to what's happening here?
I don't think there should be any changes for a couple of reasons. One, this ruling was specific to this Tennessee law. But of course, in Colorado, we passed a number of laws giving protection to transgender and LGBTQ up until I think the last bill that the legislature passed was in April. So this was just a couple of months ago. So just like the abortion rights and reproductive rights that are being protected here, I think those are as well. This case is relevant. It's the Supreme Court. But I don't think it changes significantly what's happening here in Colorado.
All right. Well, Whitney Traylor, thank you. We appreciate your analysis.
Thanks, Waddy. I'm sorry, I just have a habit of calling everybody named Whitney Whitey. It's just been a thing lately. I'm sorry about that. Because it's kind of weird me calling a very black dude Whitey. Cancel Justin. We're going back to the Senate, where today we had a hearing on the cover-up of the century. The Democrats hiding the decline of Joe Biden.
Come on, man.
I find this funny that this is going on while Trump is legitimately losing his mind. Senator Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee reading a shocking alleged statement from a Biden staffer.
Now I think we're all seeing why.
Thank you. Senator Blackburn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm so pleased. I join my colleague from Florida in saying it is time that we have this hearing. All across Tennessee, I hear from people every single week that say what was really going on.
Now, Marsha Blackburn used to be my senator, by the way. Marsha Blackburn, horrible, horrible woman, but she can totally be my GOP mommy. There's a lot of things you can say about her, but you can't say she's not a good-looking woman.
In the White House. And why would no one say anything when, with your very own eyes, you could look at any of the footage and see what was transpiring with President Biden? And I think the fact that many of his own cabinet members knew that he was not fit to serve and that there was a cabal behind the curtain who was making all the decisions. It is so offensive to the American people, and it's not something that is a partisan issue. As I talk with Democrats, many of them have lost faith in what they thought was going to be a very moderate Joe Biden administration.
Right-wingers love talking about what Democrats think.
The far left Bernie Sanders version of the Democrat Party that was using the auto pen and making decisions and committing our great nation to policies that the American people did not support and would never have supported. And I fully believe that because of that overreach and that flippant attitude that much of his staff had toward the policies of this nation.
Flippant attitude.
People in the administration that chuckled about tossing gold bars off the Titanic. They knew they were going down. They knew they were going to be found out. And they probably knew at some point that
Ma'am, I think you were reading about Bob Menendez's text.
Side of the dais
It's a completely different issue.
Empty, because no one can defend what they did.
Her cross has gone sideways as she's been talking.
Come to you.
Is that a sign that she's lying?
And talk about something that was really a disturbing revelation from the Tapper Thompson book. And you know, this is part of the thing.
We don't insult vampires like that.
The media was all a part of the joke. They were part of the ruse.
Do what?
They were part of the fraud that was pushed forward. A Biden staffer told the authors that Biden just had to win and then he could disappear for 4 years. That's all they needed to do. And, you know, it is, the following statement was, he'd only have to show proof of life every once in a while. And as I had a Tennessean say to me, when they had actually downloaded this book and read it, and then
the Democrats want to go back to brunch.
They said, you know, how stupid do they think we are? And the disrespect this administration showed to the American people. Why is it that the American people appreciate that President Trump goes out and nearly every day is taking questions and answering questions? Is because they have now found out.
No, I believe she knows exactly how stupid Americans are.
Were willing to do undemocratic things, as using their term, to keep the president in office, to keep Biden there. They were willing to do undemocratic things, unlawful things. So, Mr. Wohl, let's talk about that behavior and how that undermines the faith of Tennesseans and all Americans in our public institutions, because they could see what was happening, but they were being lied to lied to by people in the White House who were probably then running in their office and saying, well, we pulled it off another day.
Yeah, Senator, I mean, this is
that haircut
about for many years, which is the executive branch is enormous. I mean, there are close to 1,000 employees in the executive office of the president.
Anybody seeing that?
4 million full-time federal employees throughout the 14 departments that the president oversees. Executive power as accountable to the people.
I mean, I'm one to criticize somebody's hair.
Two ways. The power of the president to remove bureaucrats and to fire them, and to affix his signature to official actions that he undertakes. So when the Washington establishment says something to the effect of, well, democracy dies in darkness, yes, it does. When there are staffers, the media, cabinet officials, senior advisors to the president who all create a covering sort of shroud of darkness that obscures who is actually making the decisions. And one other thing I'll just say very quickly.
Well, it's a whole administration.
Colleagues on the Democrat side have said, well, there's an OLC opinion here. We don't need to talk anymore. There's an OLC opinion. It says you can use the auto pen. The opening paragraph of that OLC opinion says you can use the auto pen, but only when the president directs that you do so under his decision-making power, right?
Yeah.
It is very clear again and again that the president actually has to make the decision. That cannot be delegated to a staffer or an advisor. And there's no indication here that anyone other than staff were making these decisions.
Well, that's just your speculation, though.
Thank you, Senator Hawley.
There's no indication that it was anybody other than Biden making the decision.
You know, the visual, sometimes it really is true. A picture speaks louder than words. It's worth 1,000 words. And here, all you have to do is.
Funny that they should bring up Josh Hawley. We're going to go to Hawley next. Also in the hearing about Biden's cognitive ability, he apparently brought receipts.
You know, the visual, sometimes it really is true. A picture speaks louder than words. It's worth 1,000 words. And here, all you have to do is look over at this side of the dais to see that the stone wall continues. I mean, from the party that lied to this nation for 4 years. Let's just take a look at some of the things that our colleagues said on the.
They're never going to shut up about this.
Their own Justice Department was concluding that Joe Biden, who, let's not forget, illegally took classified documents and kept them in his garage, in his freezer. I mean, Lord knows where. He just certainly didn't know. Their own Justice Department interviewed the guy and concluded he could not form the requisite mental state to stand trial. He did not have the mental.
That is not what he said. And what did that is not what he said at all.
Vice President Harris says, "Oh no, the way that the Thur report characterized the president is so wrong. The president's demeanor is totally fine." Senator Smith, what the Thur said about the president not remembering his son's death, so unfair. Senator Kaine said this is grandstanding. Senator Fetterman said it's just cheap shots. You had other senators saying, Senator Ossoff in February of 2024. Saying, and I quote, "I found the president to be sharp, focused, impressive, formidable, and effective." In June 2024, Congressman Jeffries insists Biden was, and I'm quoting again, "incredibly strong, forceful, and decisive." Where are they now? They don't want to answer for any of those quotes now. They lied to us for 4 years, and we know they lied.
Because your hearing is stupid.
That's why they're not here. They don't want to answer a single question. They can't bear to show their faces in public. And you know what? It's right. That
this is grandstanding.
The bill of goods they sold this country, they walked this country right into one of the greatest constitutional crises of our history. And now they are afraid to even show up to admit it.
Getting Trump reelected? I agree.
That cannot be trusted to tell the truth, the most basic truth. They all changed their tunes after Joe Biden debated President Trump, and the whole world could see he couldn't even form a sentence. That running this guy for president again is a form of elder abuse. My, how they changed their tunes after that. Now they can't even show up in public to talk about it. This is embarrassing. But worse than that, it's dangerous. It is dangerous for this country. Mr. Wold, I want to pick up on something you just said a second ago about the OLC and their opinion as to when an auto pen can be used. Just be clear about this. Auto pen means not signed by the person. Auto pen is basically push of a button and it gets signed. OLC says only when the president specifically directs it, and it is under his direct.
Good evening, Nathan.
Do I basically have that right?
That's correct, Senator.
So, based on the facts we know, did that happen in this case with all of the pardons and clemencies and other giveaways that Joe Biden signed?
We have no reason to believe it didn't.
That the Biden White House complied with sort of traditional practice of presidential administrations and that there was record keeping either from the staff secretary or others, there should be records to indicate either through covering memorandum or briefing books where the president would have signed his signature authorizing this decision. None of that has come forward. That would be very easy to dispel some of these concerns. And I think what we're seeing here is really the auto pen is best understood as a sort of a tool of executive convenience.
Hold on a second. You just said something very important. I want to emphasize that. So what you're saying is that there should be, for every time that Biden authorized the auto pen, there should be a record of that. And he should have had to have registered.
Auto pen is such a funny word.
To using the auto pen. Is that basically correct?
I think to put it another way.
Republican talking about consent.
The policy paper flow to the Oval Office. There should be a record of what documents are presented to the president when he gave his assent to the actions that are listed in those documents, whether it's a judicial nomination or it's a statutory response to Congress.
Well, I think the answer is we need to get those documents. And I just say to our friends in the media over here, you guys need to be asking for those documents, and we need to be asking for them, Mr. Chairman. We need to see those documents. And the president, the former president now.
I got your documents right here.
Part of his personal papers, right, Mr. Wolf?
And that's correct. And the first place to start would be the staff secretary's office under President Biden.
Oh, here's the trail. If you want to know, if you want an answer to the question, did Joe Biden actually assent to the use of the auto pen and you think of all the people he pardoned, he granted clemency to, murderers, drug dealers, child rapists.
Have you heard about all the people that Trump pardoned?
Did he actually authorize it? There should be a record.
Story came out that cost
for that testimony, Mr. Wolf.
The taxpayers over $1 billion.
This is a binary question. It's not, we don't know, it's hard to say. No, actually, we can find out. So right now, today, I call on President Biden, former President Biden and his staff, release the documents. You have them, you know you have them, release them. If what you did is legal, and if you're really not embarrassed about it, and you think it was totally constitutional, release the paper flow. Show us the documents where the president authorized the use of the pen for every single pardon and clemency and stay application. Let's see it. Let's see all of it. And if you won't do it, we should subpoena those documents, and we should find out the truth of who was really running the White House, because I think we can see it was not Joe Biden. Thank you all for being here today. Mr. Wold, thanks for your testimony.
Fuck you.
Senator Kennedy.
Josh Hawley. Funny they should bring up Senator Kennedy. That is the next clip we're going to watch. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
To have your cock in my mouth. I'm going to give you the blowjob of your life. Then I want you inside of me.
But first, we must welcome in the Raiders. Jason Society, my friend. Love you, brother. Hope you are adjusting well to Las Vegas. I'm jelly. That seems like a fun place to live. Gomez, welcome in. Thank you for being a freaking follower. I already played the song a couple times tonight. My cat spilled my tea and I had to play the song, so I'm not gonna play the song. You'll catch it some other time. I don't want to wear it out. It's too good of a song. But since Jason's Society, fuck it, let's do it. Because this time, since Jason's here, we got smoke. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
All we're establishing is this guy's wicked, sick aesthetic.
Not high enough for this shit.
I guess I gotta thank Matt Walsh for introducing me to JustinFREAKIN.
Hey there, y'all. We're about to get stupid, locked into what that news be doing. Fu Manchu and a slick bandana, colder than ice, smoother than Santana. Audio, video, chat and calls. Right-wing nut jobs haunt the halls. What you wanna watch? Hey, what you think? And there's only one choice. It's JustinFREAKIN.
The guy's, he's a formidable voice in the call.
Light one up and tip one back. It's a right to be high. Let's grab a snack. It's fucking news, quick panic, attack, and play your cards right and get a titty slap. Jump in discourse, have some fun. The man will talk to everyone. Get high and try to debate them. pops off, chat thinks it's great. What do you think you're doing? Join the troll patrol. Wherever discourse is brewing, he gives it that southern drawl.
So let's go ahead and bring in Justin. Hey, Justin, how's it going, brother?
First of all, I want to say you're poser South. I'm in Alabama. I'm the real South.
Okay, all right. So why don't you tell us what it takes to be in Alabama?
Well, I don't know. I'm in Alabama and I'll fuck a man in a dress. Why won't you fuck a man in a dress? Are you that insecure that you won't fuck a man in a dress?
That's fantastic. So you're okay with that, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't I?
Good.
Right-wingers are morons.
Like one it and hit one back on one more clip. So we hit the set an alert when that shit goes live. Social fucking support and hit subscribe. Like one up and take a hit. He does no harm, but it takes no shit. He's the last one standing when the ship is sinking. Let's take another rip for JustinFREAKIN.
Light one up, tip one back. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
Not high enough for this shit.
Y'all heard the lady. Light one up, tip one back. Now that Jason's here, we absolutely gotta smoke. Welcome in, friends. I wonder if people get whiplash because they come in and I'm like, oh, hey, let me play this video for you. It's a rap song about titty slaps and getting high. And then I'm like, let me play the most boring clip from today's Senate hearing on bullshit. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana. During the hearing on... My show is what happens when you combine like South Park and C-SPAN. That's the best summation of my show. If you like those two things, you'll like it here. That unfortunately is why I don't have a very big audience, because the Venn diagram of people that like those two things, kind of small. Not a lot of overlap, but hey, here we are. We're going to keep trying. One of these days I'll get a GOP mommy and get some money behind me. Senator Kennedy questioning I don't even know who the witness was that they pulled in for this Judiciary Committee hearing on Biden cover-up.
Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You know he's going to say something
I
stupid.
want to try to separate policy and politics for a second. I know it's hard to do around this place, but I thought Senator Cornyn made a very good point in his opening remarks. I think Senator Smith made the same point that the policy here is very important. And I want to ask you your opinion on the policy. Professor, tell me briefly, I know you came to talk about auto pens, but tell me briefly about the 25th Amendment.
Well, Senator, the 25th Amendment provides the process by which to implement a principle that's in the original Constitution, which is when the president's unable to exercise the powers and duties of the presidency, somebody else exercises them, starting with the vice president. The 25th Amendment sets up a process by which, if there's a question whether the president is able to do that, the vice president and the heads of the executive departments can temporarily basically put the vice president in as acting president, and then Congress ultimately decides the question.
Well, the standard, is it not, Professor? The standard is disability of the president. Is that correct?
Unable to exercise the powers and duties.
Okay.
Yes.
Here's what I would like your opinion on, and the opinion of these two gentlemen here. You have all been staffers. You've worked in government. You've had a boss.
Always love when he like rubs his
Mr.
chin.
Spicer's case, his boss was the President of the United States. Let's suppose the President, you were using your experience as a staffer. You were working for the President, any President. Hypothetically a President. And let's suppose the President started talking.
Hypothetically a president.
Let's suppose the President became fatigued very easily. He couldn't finish a sentence without taking a nap.
What? Like Trump?
Suppose the President, he was just physically in bad shape, mentally and physically. Mentally, he may or may not have, you're not a doctor, neurodegenerative disease, but physically you can see you could bake a Thanksgiving turkey in the time it takes him to walk across the stage.
I would like to point out to Senator Kennedy's point, I would like to point out that the chairman of this committee, of the Judiciary Committee, is one Senator Chuck Grassley, who is 91 years old.
You see that people have very strong feelings, but you heard me also say in the beginning that a lot of us have been advised not to have these town meetings because it gives a forum for people to exert disagreement, sometimes very strong disagreement with what's going on in Washington.
It's just ironic to me. This is the man who is the chairman of the Judiciary Committee that is investigating Biden for his supposed mental decline. They're the party that has the current president who is obviously on a steep mental decline.
What do you think, as a member of his staff, what do you think is your moral obligation to say, wait a minute, the president can't do the job anymore? I know you're loyal folks. You believe in your president, this president, whichever president. I'm speaking hypothetically. You're loyal. You want to be a good staffer, but you also have a moral obligation. How do you reach that decision, Professor? And I'll go to each of you.
Senator, I think the first thing
What was the question?
In a situation like that is exercise your own judgment. How serious is this problem? Because everybody has moments when they lose focus. It happens. But if somebody thinks this is a really serious problem, I think the first thing to do is the most difficult, which is to say to the president, because the 25th Amendment also provides that the president can say, I'm unable to exercise the powers and duties of my office.
And suppose the president
That would be extremely
says,
difficult, but I think it should be
look,
done.
trust me, I can. And it's clear to you that he has neurodegenerative disease and he can't. What do? Do you have a moral obligation as a staff member?
Well, like Reagan?
To go to the American people and say, we've got a problem here, it may cost me my career?
Senator, I think at that point you have an obligation to talk to the vice president.
Okay.
Who is in charge of the Section 4 process under the 25th Amendment.
What about you?
And who are you, isn't that a decision for cabinet level people?
You want
not just rank and file.
That with him, but you can't. When does a staffer have a moral obligation to stand up?
Thank you, Van. I appreciate it. Welcome in, my friend.
Say, he can't be president anymore. She can't be.
Oh, did you pick a
Senator,
color, Prometheus?
Only works if individual staffers or officers of the United States exercise that kind of moral judgment.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah, so I mean, I think always, as the professor said, the presidency is an enormous burden, so it would be not one instance, it would have to be several instances of a failure to exercise judgment.
How do you make that decision? You're the staffer. I get it.
Yeah, well, I think it begins with prayer, of course, but after that, I think it's conversation with other staffers, and if you're unable to confront the president or to raise the issue with the vice president, you should resign.
What about you, Mr. Spicer? Do you stand up and do it and tell the truth and run, or do you have a greater obligation to your boss?
Well, luckily I didn't have that problem.
But I would say that you have a moral obligation as,
Who let him in here?
as a citizen, as a human being. If the leader of the free world cannot conduct themselves to make the decisions that are critical to this country and to the world, you absolutely have a moral obligation to follow the chain of command. And if they don't act, then you must.
Do either of you gentlemen disagree with that? Professor?
Senator, I think acting means talking to the people who have...
Do we have a female president? I'm sorry. Do you think I just fell out of a coconut tree?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
the responsibility are in a position under the Constitution to do something.
You don't
about the
agree with
situation.
Mr. Spicer?
Senator. I'm not sure exactly what he has in mind, other than talking about talking to the people who can make the decision.
I'm just trying to ask. So you've all been staffers. Suppose you go to everybody you're supposed to go to, and they all say, "My advice to you is to shut up." Do you have a moral obligation?
Shut the fuck up.
To say, look, this person can't be president of the United States. It isn't policy. He physically can't do it.
Senator Kennedy, it's not a question of whether a staffer has that obligation. It's whether you as an American have that obligation, and I think each and every one of us does.
Yeah, but you can see it. An American can't. Professor, what do you think?
Senator, I think there are situations under which someone in that position should speak publicly, but I also think that the views of a single individual who is not the person who is constitutionally responsible for taking measures should be considered by the public as...
Let me go get a Maynard.
Of one individual who has some information about the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Tillis.
Give me 1 second. I will procure a Maynard James kitten. Say hey to everybody, Bubby. He's very upset. Oh, he shed so much. Samson, welcome in. He is so handsome. And like, guys, you have no idea. His belly is so soft. If you like ever had one of those fluffy pillows that are just super fucking soft. Oh, it's all time of year is shed time for him. I mean, he's like 7, 8 years old. So just a big, fluffy, full cat. He goes in these like weird spurts, and like he'll have different places he likes to hang out. And right now he wraps himself up in the curtain in the front door, and he makes like a little hammock out of it, and he lays in the front door like all the fucking time now. Like I knew exactly where he was at. So it's odd. He's not impressed with anything. I've got one more that I haven't shown on stream tonight. Well, I mean, he spilled my tea and I yelled at him. He's in the window right now, and I don't want to leave him alone while he's leaving me alone. Dougie, good evening. But Dougie says Smokey did nothing wrong. Smokey's the most famous cat on this stream. He's the one that makes the most appearances. But man, has he been annoying lately. I love that cat so much. If you didn't see Socks earlier, I got him. He's right here. This is Socrates, or Socks. He was already named Socks. I had to spruce up his name a little bit, you know. Because, you know, it looks like he's got socks on. He's my elder statesman. He's like 15 or 16. It took him about a month. He really didn't like me at first, and he shit in my bed all the time. But now he's the most loving fucking cat. Like, he sleeps with me. That's my cuddle cat. Well, so they were named Socks and Smokey and Maynard. And like Maynard, because he's named Maynard, that's why I got him. I was like, oh, that's my favorite singer. That's the universe telling me I need to take that cat in. But I like to, you know, tweak the names a little bit, because you can't. They were older cats. They knew their names. Smokey was like 3 or 4. Socks was 5 or 6. Maynard was like a year and a half when I got him. So they all knew their names and everything. But like Smokey is Smokey Bong. Socks is Socrates. And then you can be Socks for short and Smokey for short. And then I've got Maynard James Kitten. And when I saw Pussifer, Perfect Circle, and Primus, Primus did Maynard the Cat, and I went nuts for that. That was really special for me. That was my birthday present to myself last year, was to go and see Pussifer, Primus, Perfect Circle. I got to see Maynard the Cat. I don't want to go back to this judiciary hearing. Let's do a little crime news. I had like a Democrat firing it. It was Dick Durbin. I don't want to watch it. I don't give a shit anymore. The home of the state representative that was shot on Saturday in Minnesota was broken into just days after the fatal shooting.
The home of Speaker Emerita Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark was broken into this morning. The Hortmans were killed Sunday in what authorities have called a political assassination. Police say a window on the back side of the house was broken into, but nothing appears to be missing. Fox 9's Rob Olson went out to Brooklyn Park today, and he spoke with neighbors who are trying to honor the Hortmans in just little ways.
Well, this is something we can do and feel like we're doing something.
As flowers are left at the home of Melissa and Mark Hortman, neighbors have been putting them in buckets of water. Doing so again Wednesday at the request of Melissa's parents, who'd noticed fresh bouquets had appeared on the curb.
Anything they want us to do that we can do and help, that's what this neighborhood's about, though.
Tuesday night, a group of 10 to 20 neighbors cleaned up their yard and tended to the Hortmans' gardens, which was, they say, Melissa's special place and admired by all.
I walk all the time with different groups of people because we all live around here, and it was just like we'd get by the garden all the time, and it was like,
yeah, are we sure it's like not family that had to break something down to get in?
Here early Saturday, inflamed again now. I
think we would
somebody broke into the house.
Know that already?
Brooklyn Park police say the plywood over a back window had been pried away. The window shattered to gain entry. It appeared the home had been searched. Didn't appear anything had been taken. The Hortman family had removed valuable items already on Tuesday.
Oh, the family had access.
Dishonors their memory, so.
Jeff Olink, who lives a few doors down, has known the Hortmans for years. In fact, Melissa
they didn't take anything
with his oldest son.
That is very weird.
Nearly every day.
She was so into her flowers, besides doing her thing with service dogs, and like I said, she was the kind of neighbor everybody wishes they'd have.
Now police have added a second camera to the backyard. There was already one out front. The break-in a further insult to the trauma felt so deeply on this street.
They touch so many lives here, and just, they're humans, they're people, they're kind, they're caring.
Now, the home had been boarded up since Sunday after police finished their crime scene investigation. That's when they then turned it over to the extended family. They're asking any neighbors here, too, who are so caring, to check their own security cameras to see if there's any evidence of who committed this break-in in the middle of the night. In Brooklyn Park, Rob Olson, Fox 9.
DJ Dub, I may shatter your world right now. That song, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend. I will understand, or whatever the fuck the words are. That's not 3 Doors Down. That's not Matchbox 20 either. Like, that's some one-hit wonder. I don't remember the name of the band. 3 Doors Down was, love me when I'm here, and show me when I'm gone. I don't think it's Third Eye Blind. Oh, God damn it. Is it Third Eye Blind? Okay, if we've got two people both saying it. It is Third Eye Blind. The song Jumper. Is that their one hit? Was I right? It's a one-hit wonder? I knew it wasn't 3 Doors Down, and I knew it wasn't whatever other band you said. I want to say they had more than one. Well, okay, here's the thing. I've seen so many live concerts that I've seen a lot of bands I hate. And I've seen 3 Doors Down. I probably haven't heard that song, Soup, and like I did not like that. I haven't heard that in fucking, how long ago did it come out? 25, 26, 27 years ago? I feel like they had more than one hit. What was the name of the meth smoking song? Van, were they any good? I would think NSYNC would be. And did you see them like currently since they've been back together? Did you see them like at that time when they were big? Like, I'm kind of jealous you've seen NSYNC. I would enjoy them. Oh, you saw them back in the day. Okay, give me your honest assessment. And, like, it's okay if it's not your kind of music, but, like, you know, how was the performance? Like, were you impressed by the stage show? They've toured recently, yes. I don't know if they're currently touring, but they have been back together in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Stick around, I got police chases. Do you want to find out more about the Minnesota assassin? Do you want to do that shit, or do you want to move on to more fun shit? I'm going to skip fucking Fed interest rates. Fuck that shit. I'm trying to get to the car chases. All right, you don't want to find out about the Minnesota assassin? Fuck Jerome Powell. All right. This, a moment that has been dubbed a sit and run. I don't know which museum this is. Hopefully it'll tell us in the story. A couple accused of breaking a crystal chair in an art museum. I think it was D.C.
D.C. is known for its world-class museums and their strict rules. So this next story shows why those rules matter. Have you seen this? Look at this. Okay, video from an Italian art museum.
I did see this.
Now check this part out.
Boy.
A couple posing on a fragile crystal chair. And then, here you go.
Oh, no.
Because I got to sit down. No, you don't. The man tries to sit. He breaks the... seat and the legs. They quickly walk off.
Oh, no.
As I would do as well. A moment now dubbed as the sit and run online, like hit and run, sit and run. Their identities remain unknown, so it worked. An investigation is underway.
The chair has been fixed.
The chair has been repaired, so let's...
Was it a replica?
Look, I think they blurred their faces, so good. That's fine. Yeah, because
why are they not searching for him?
This priceless chair. I think it was like Van Gogh's chair or something.
Right.
Priceless chair.
The original, they need to have it roped or in some sort of casing, right?
Then they would have their faces up in like.
I was expecting
Look how they get out of here.
a TikTok influencer, but it was an older couple. It looked.
Okay. Let's go, Harvey.
Quesadilla.
We don't have money for this.
The quick getaway from me, Jonathan. I mean, come on. Come on, guys. We can be better than that.
They've got so much time at the end of their show.
Oh, see,
you would run out of there?
As close as we are, that's the difference.
This is called a kicker story.
And there are. They're looking.
It's when you come back from the last commercial break.
On Get Up DC at 7 a.m.
You tell the host how long they got to
DC
fill.
is known for its world-class museums and their strict rules. So this next story shows why those rules matter. Have you seen this? Look at this. Okay, video from an Italian art museum.
I did see this.
It was in Italy.
A couple posing on a fragile crystal chair. And then, here you go.
Don't touch the art, please.
No, you don't. The man tries to sit.
Oh, that's a really nice chair.
Chair's seat and the legs. They quickly walk off.
Oh, no.
As I would do as well. A moment now dubbed as the sit and run online, like hit and run, sit and run. Their identities remain unknown, so it worked. An investigation is underway. The good news, the museum says the chair has been repaired.
Why'd he sit back on it? He was trying to hold his ass off of it at first.
So good. That's fine. Yeah, because at first I thought.
Oh, no. That's totally, museum rules aren't law. However, that is totally vandalism. That is against the law. Because I'm sure there's like, don't touch the art. A wildlife photographer says all of his cameras were stolen, or several of his cameras were stolen.
Martinez takes beautiful images in the Angeles National Forest and shares them for the public to see and purchase. Now, he's best known for capturing Wolford the bear and so many other animals, but unfortunately, several of his cameras were stolen recently, and now he's unable to continue his
I thought it was going to be like TikTok influencers. I thought it was going to be stupid young kids, and it wasn't. And like, really?
work. Robert is joining us to talk about the loss of those cameras and how it's keeping him from doing what he loves. First of all,
I don't know if it'd make it better if it was young punk kids.
Telling me this is not the first time someone's stolen your cameras, so kind of give us the setup of where they were taken from and what happened.
Okay, so I have my cameras mostly in remote areas of the Angeles National Forest. The same thing happened 5 years
ago. Wait, isn't this Dave Grohl?
It wasn't too deep, but still deep where the average hiker never goes.
Yeah.
So I had some stolen about 5 years ago, about 3 cameras. They were replaced, and then recently I was in another canyon that's not too far from the public, but it was on private property. So somebody trespassed into the canyon, came across one camera, took that one, and just continued for another few minutes and found the next 4. So they took all of those.
5 cameras in total, and about how much are they worth?
About $200 a piece when everything's set up with the batteries and the lockbox and cables.
So very expensive.
Oh, well.
And be able to get back to work. Also, was there photo and video stored on there that you won't be able to get back?
Yeah, so unfortunately the person...
$200 for a camera? Like, most lenses are like $1,000. So these were just kind of like disposable cameras that he had. Not disposable, but they were not his best equipment that have gotten stolen.
Person that stole these cameras.
Okay, respectable for a trail cam.
They're going to see me on there setting it up, looking back, checking my angle. Probably see a lot of bear activity, which has been happening a lot lately at these camera spots. So some of the video you showed in the beginning of this.
Oh, that's so cute.
Is one of the cameras that was stolen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am so sorry to hear that this happened. How did you even get into wildlife photography? You told me you've been doing this for more than a decade now.
Yeah, I've always had a strong passion for wildlife and a love for all the animals that we live among. And my biggest obsession is the mountain lion. So when I discovered trail cameras, I thought maybe I'll give this a shot and put one out there and see if I get an image of a mountain lion. And after my first mountain lion, after about 6 weeks, the obsession really kicked into overdrive, and I've been at it ever since.
That is so cool. Tell me about some of the other things you've captured and anything you haven't captured yet that you want to capture.
Some of the great things I've captured is like a bobcat fighting a rattlesnake, which was a really shocking event to see, but a truly wild moment.
Who won?
The bobcat won.
Okay.
But I didn't know at first watch. I didn't know who was going to win.
I'm a huge animal fan, and I watch those animal battles on Instagram all the time.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this was the first time that kind of thing happened.
Yeah.
About 3 years ago, I got Wilford the bear digging a bed right in front of my camera and laying down to take a nap for about 4 to 5.
Wilford the bear?
Surprising and special moment to see.
Absolutely. You captured some beautiful things. Okay, so you have a website with your photos for sale.
Which camera was there?
Just tell us how we can do that.
That's on robertmartinezphotography.com. So if you'd like to
Michael, welcome in.
The cause, you can do that, or there's also a donate option. Just press the button and you can donate through PayPal or Venmo to keep the cameras going. I always want to expand and cover more ground. People have been so generous in the outpouring of support to replace my cameras and then some. So I'm not going to let those people steal my cameras slow me down. I'm going to be back stronger than ever, better prepared. So it's just a matter of time.
That's the good spirit.
In the meantime, I still have cameras out there in deeper areas of the forest to continue what I'm doing. But this one canyon where it happened has been a really productive spot for the last 6 years. So it is disheartening to see this happen. But like I said, they're not going to stop me. I'll keep at it.
And I think people are really happy to hear that. You have tons of fans who, as I said, I'm a person who loves watching animal videos and pictures. People look forward to this. So I'm sure they're going to be disappointed to hear that you were deterred by this.
Yeah, a lot of people are disappointed. And you know,
I'm not going to leave this as your animal video for tonight. I'm going to show you an actual animal.
Make donations, so it's been a real blessing with all the support and the following that I have.
Yeah,
just kind of a bummer to end on.
And I love that your spirit, you're going to keep going.
Oh
so
yeah,
I'll be looking for more pictures coming from you soon and animal battles.
Definitely.
I mean, yes and no.
Thanks for having me.
For more information on donations to replace Robert's cameras, you can go to kcalnews.com and click Seen on TV. All right, but now we want to get a check-in on your
Now I've got Smokey over here. This is Smokey Bong. After I yelled at him earlier, he's come out of hiding. Hey, Bubby. Ow, god damn it. You want more Pete's? I wish you could hear him purring. He is purring so loudly. He's the sweetest baby. I hate that I got mad at him earlier. Stop clawing me, buddy. But I mean, he's like purring and making biscuits clawing. It's not like he's being mean about it. So like it's hard. You get upset with him, but like also like, oh, he's just being sweet. Well, it's not air biscuits. It's into my goddamn leg. All of my pants have like claw marks from. This is amazing. Ow! I have to hold his hand up. Oh, my curtains are like fucking shredded. I love all animals, but I fucking love cats. They're my... I don't want to say favorite. I don't want to play favorites. Animals are awesome. Gotta be goddamn logged in. So Twitch people, stick with me. We're gonna watch Police chases, listen to music. Here's your animal video for the night. This is a fox. Little playful fox playing with a piece of wood. Look at him. Carla, welcome in. Is this Mommy Fox? I see, once again, like, I love cats, but then I could domesticate one of these. I could have a fox for a pet. That'd be fun. That's kind of the like, if I had a house and a yard and shit, I'd probably have a dog. But it being just me and I got the cats, like, I can go away for a couple of days. Cats are fine, you know. You just give them enough food and water. Put out an extra litter box for them, you know. Make sure, like, to cover the time while you're gone. They're good. They can get along. They'll be mad at you if you've been gone too long. They'll give you the cold They're so moody. Cats are so fucking moody. Are you still looking? Have you checked, like, Bagheera coming in hot? Yeah, we talked about that at the top of the show. We already got that out of the way. Now we got foxes, and we're talking about puppies and kitties. Mine are always, like, upset for a little bit. And will give you the cold shoulder, and then, like, boom. They're all up in your business. Well, do you want to lay down, or are you going to go somewhere, Bobby? Oh, my God. Well, he's slipping up. He's slipping away. Ow! Sorry, Bubs. Are you going to get down? All right, Twitch people, we're going to go watch some Police Chase. Say goodbye to the podcast, Kick, Rumble, YouTube, all those people. Bye-bye, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, all you people.